Bye, bitch!
No! What do you mean? Did I just fucking skateboard? Lately, I've talked a lot about the game Digimon Story Time Stranger and made a few shorts about my experience. I don't want those to come across as pointless complaints, so I thought I would go over my criticisms a little more clearly, all in one spot, and just share my overall thoughts on the game after playing it for 65 hours. Full transparency, this was originally going to just be a short, but it turns out I yapped too much, and it ended up way too long to be a short. Anyway, first off, let's get this out of the way. It is okay if you do not agree with my opinion. It is okay if you like this game. It is currently sitting at a 93% very positive on Steam alone. A lot of people like this game. Someone with a criticism about something you like does not mean they are criticizing you or your enjoyment, nor does that mean that their experience is invalid simply because they do not enjoy it to the same degree as you. With that said, here are some of the things I like about the game. Growing up, I watched Digimon Adventure as a kid, I played the Digimon World games, I'm currently enjoying Digimon Beat Break. Beat Break even makes a cameo in-game sometimes on the screens, and you can have a cool Gekkomon shirt, and I would totally wear that in real life. I think Digimon are cool as f***, I am a fan, but I don't have encyclopedic knowledge about all Digimon, and the sheer roster of Digimon available in this game for sure introduced me to some that I forgot existed, and some I never knew about. There are a ton of Digimon in this game, and you can have basically all of them. Even the Digimon that are essentially the gods of this game. You learn how to basically 3D print your own Digimon by fighting a certain amount of them, and you can have up to 1,000 Digimon in your little Digibox ready to tag in on your main team whenever you want. Though, if you don't want them anymore, you can essentially feed them to your main squad and buff them up instead. Or sell them on the black market. I mean, convert their data directly into yen. Digimon are apparently made out of Bitcoin, I guess. The battles in this game use a turn-based RPG-style system that most people are pretty familiar with at this point. It's pretty solid and has room for the player to set up some interesting team comps and combos. To me personally, it feels kind of reminiscent of the Shin Megami Tensei or Persona-style battle systems, but that's my opinion! It's not just your mons fighting either. Every now and then your agent gets the guts to step in with their f***ing Digiglock and murk one, if not all, of the enemies in front of you. You can swap this ability out for other moves like something more support-like, but during my whole playthrough, being able to just delete an enemy was the only support that was really necessary. Especially during a mechanic that happens in almost all boss fights where you are essentially DPS checked while the boss builds up a big attack. The system has its moments where battles feel pretty interesting, but it doesn't stray too far from hit it until it dies. It also has some flaws that I feel take away from that, but I'll talk about those in a minute. The Digivolution system. At first glance, I thought the game only cared about the upward growth of Digimon, going from rookie to champion to ultimate and etc. And I was frustrated about the Digimon having a max potential level they could reach, meaning that once they hit that level, that's it. No more growth. But after I realized that Digimon growth isn't a one-way street and you are encouraged to de-digivolve your mons, it opened up a lot more. De-digivolving moves them back a stage, resets them to level 1, but they inherit a percentage of the stats they gained from that higher form. Essentially, you can fucking prestige them. Now, there are some Digivolutions that you will likely not hit the stat requirements for naturally. For that, they added the Digifarm, which serves as a place where you can train your Digimon on specific stats and feed them food to increase your bond with them, which will in turn increase their stat gains. Other than those two things, the Digifarm doesn't serve any real purpose, and the training for some reason takes like 30 real-world minutes to complete. So that is a real half hour that you will not be using that Digimon. Of course, you can pay yen to auto-complete that process, really conditioning players to associate using in-game currency with speed and convenience.
Suspicious.
Having said that, let's segue into some of my criticisms of the game.
5 times speed auto battle and trivializing most encounters.
During battle, you can change the speed at which animations play up to 5 times speed, eliminating them entirely so attacks just turn into a quick slap, followed by damage numbers. You can also choose to let turns play out automatically without you needing to make any selection. The mons will randomly use one of their abilities or a regular attack. Just let go of the wheel and the mons will usually come out the winners anyway. The third mechanic in this trinity of trivialization is the healing mechanic. Outside of battles, the player can stop moving, stand totally still, and their Digimon will begin healing all missing HP and SP after several seconds, based on how much was missing. This sounds super convenient, but also removes any risk from encounters, because no matter how many enemies you've plowed through to get where you are, you're probably going to be in peak condition for the next fight. All of these mechanics alone seem like pretty nice quality of life features, but combining them turns into a real hands-free gaming experience. Battles no longer feel like encounters and have been reduced to speed bumps, slowing you down from getting from here to over there. You're always at full health, you don't have to hit any buttons, and you've sped up the whole process to get to the rewards screen faster. It's a real number go up, dopamine now kind of combination. On top of that, you'll usually spend a few seconds after each fight not moving to heal. It really feels like the game doesn't need you because it has several systems where you don't need to be pressing any buttons. As far as I've been informed though, most of these mechanics are holdovers from the previous title, Digimon Stories Cyber Sleuth, so Time Stranger is not solely guilty in this. I don't know, I haven't played Cyber Sleuth. Should I? It looks interesting. Is it good? Let me know.
The pacing.
The pacing of this game is painfully slow and grindy. Now, you wouldn't think that if you only played the demo, which is the prologue of the main game. That it was hype, but after the prologue is done, there's a lot of repetition. It really stretches its content out as much as it can, and in doing so really begins to overstay its welcome. On average, the general playtime to complete the main story seems to take roughly around 40 hours, and that's just the main story missions. If you want to do any of the extra side content on the way, which you will probably need to do if you want to digivolve, it seems to be agreed that you're looking more at 50 to 60 hours. This lines up pretty accurately with my playtime. The quest design in Time Stranger often feels very reminiscent to those in free-to-play MMOs. Many of the non-major plot points will either be a fetch quest or a go here and fight this one Digimon quest with little to no story attachment. I'm shocked there wasn't a quest to go out and obtain 10 Garurumon pelts with a 30% drop chance on kill. Either way, you will spend a lot of time running back and forth through hallways filled with speed bump enemies. To its credit, most of the environments are pretty, but they really do boil down to hallways. Which leads me to my next criticism.
The zones.
The game takes place in the server of Iliad, which is roughly based in Greek and Roman mythology. And outside of the Olympus 12, which are like the big bosses of this game, I don't really feel that the theming comes across very much in its environment. Again, many of the environments in Time Stranger are very nice. I really like the look of the Abyss area in particular, the one that's all coastal and vibrant, but almost all of the zones get boiled down into pretty hallways. Later on, you visit an area called the Cosmic Area, which essentially has a hot and cold zone. And these zones have slightly different layouts but function almost exactly the same with the color palettes swapped. You run across hallways, you use the elevators to get the key items to go back to the other area. The only real difference is that in one zone, you get attacked by mudmen rolling down at you, and the other zone sends penguins sliding down at you before their respective bosses. But they are functionally the same. Funny enough, during my playthrough of this area, I did a bit where I idled in this zone and played other games with some Jingle Keys gifs on the screen, while my Mons auto-battled all the enemies that came at me. Turns out, that is actually a known strategy for AFK grinding that I did as a joke. People will just sit there and have auto-battle go on, and they'll walk away from the game and leave it running for a couple hours, and come back with all of their Mons leveled up.
Anyway,
Calling back to that MMO comparison, many of the zones have a very MMO dungeon level design. You make your way down the hallway, slapping hordes of speed bump mobs on the way, maybe picking up a key item.
What is that? What the f*** is that?
And finally fight a boss in the room at the end. If you have ever played Final Fantasy XIV, you are very familiar with this formula. But the main hubs are great. The towns have a lot of Digimon, although they don't really move around much and sometimes have a theme park animatroniciness to them. These areas do still feel pretty inhabited. Except Tokyo. Tokyo is dead. Almost all the people in it are faceless homunculi, and it is only there to send you into the sewers.
Inori.
Inori Misono acts as our second protagonist in this game, which is very ironic because she is hardly a character, but you will see and hear from her a lot. She doesn't really have a personality other than cute, kind-hearted sidekick. I would go so far as to say that Inori is actually not a character at all, and only serves as a vehicle for the real protagonist of the game, which is, not you, Aegiomon. Their entire dynamic is a back and forth of, we have to save Aegiomon, and I have to protect Inori. If there had to be one quirk that defined Inori's personality, it would be her trauma-dumping on everyone at any possible opportunity. If she is on screen, you have a 50% chance of her bringing up her dead mom or her dead brother during the conversation. Which, don't worry, is not a spoiler. She makes this known very early on in the game and will remind you about it constantly, especially during very inappropriate times to be bringing it up. Like I swear, one time she brought it up during a major boss fight and monologued about it for several minutes mid-fight. Mind you, during this you can see background elements of the environment moving still, so time didn't stop for her to trauma dump on this big bad boss. I like to think that they kinda just waited for her to finish before unleashing their big attack, which, when you think about it, is actually really considerate. For all of my criticisms of the game, almost all could be overlooked if it were not for one of the last parts I'll talk about. Digimon Story Time Stranger, released at a price of $69.99 USD, $70. About 2 months after its release, it got a DLC priced at $12. Then another 2 months, another DLC, another $12. And it will gladly hold your hand in-game and take you to links to the store to buy those DLC. By the way, it launched with a cosmetic DLC that costs $13. Well, I guess the costumes are more valuable than the story DLC? For comparison, Red Dead Redemption 2 released with a price tag of $60. Now, you can make the argument that Red Dead 2 came out in 2018 and inflation and all major games are $70 now on release. Okay, you know what came out the same year as Time Stranger? Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which at full price was released at $49.99, but they're saying that their game, with their DLCs, will give me a gaming experience that is equal to, if not more valuable, than that of Red Dead Redemption 2 and Clair Obscur combined. In summary, Digimon Story Time Stranger is fine, but as a Digimon fan, after handing Bamco nearly $100, I expected more than fine. I wanted better. Digimon is a franchise that often has long droughts for good content. Digimon fans stay hungry and jump on any new Digimon arrival. So when I heard of a new Digimon game being glazed as much as Time Stranger was, and after playing the demo, which was pretty hype, I was let down by the full experience. If this experience had cost me $40, I probably would have said it was great. And again, if you enjoyed the game, that's awesome. I'm not trying to take that away from you. But would I recommend it to somebody else? At a $70 price tag that asks for more money in-game? No. If it's on sale, absolutely. But with tempered expectations. If you purchase it at full price, or God forbid, one of the overpriced $100 plus versions, so you can have a little golden moai to decorate the pointless Digifarm, don't go in it with the expectation of a 5-star gourmet experience. You're buying junk food. It is junk food in bulk. You're buying almost $100 worth of a novelty flavor of chips that, halfway through them, you might start to get pretty tired of that flavor. But hey, that's just what I think. I definitely don't hate the game, but do wish it offered more bang for your buck. What do you think? Let me know. Tell me your thoughts. What parts of the game do you think shine, and what parts do you think just missed the mark? Oh, and thanks for watching.